Hello! Just setting up the apparatus at the moment. Waiting for a couple people to join in. Let's see, let's just discard that little bit of mess on the sofa. Oh, this is interesting. Format of Facebook Live has just changed. Normally, for any of you guys who also do live video, oh, this annoys me when I'm looking into the screen rather than the camera. There we go, that's a little better. Something. There we go. I'm dressing the camera rather than dressing the screen. Yeah, this is a little different. Normally what you have is you have half of the... Oh, this is weird. I'm like pointing... It's like my hand is lagging. So I'm like kind of highlighting the screen, but my finger on the screen isn't where my finger is in real life. That's bizarre. Anyway, yeah, normally you have half the screen. So half the screen is you on camera, and half the screen is the comments thread, so you can see what people are posting, asking, etc. But now it's just a full screen, so it's like I'm filming a normal video now. So that's interesting. I wonder if people's comments are still going to come through. Facebook is just telling me that I can press the magic wand and I can make my face look different. Oh, so we can change the filters. That's new. Yeah, guys, we're not actually doing any training today. I'm just going to play around with the filters. That was a joke, by the way. Stay tuned, we are doing training. So what does this guy do? So now, this is kind of like Snapchat, isn't it? You can sort of change... What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make myself look like Santa Claus. It's taken a while to load. I don't know if that's going to load. Hi, viewers who've just joined. I'm just playing around with the playing around with some of the new features that are on Facebook Live. I'm trying to make myself look like Santa Claus, but the template is taking ages to load. It's got like this much of a bar left. Don't know if it's going to do it or not. Come on, come on. Come on. Oh, it's so close. It's so close. This better be worth it. There we go. We're nearly there. We're nearly there. Nearly there. Soon I'm going to look like Father Christmas, I hope. Dun dun dun. There's like a sliver of bar left. Is that loaded? Yay! How about that? So does he... Oh, I blow snow. That is brilliant. You know what, guys? This actually links in rather amusingly with what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm actually going to keep that filter on whilst I do today's video with you. Let's see. So if I press that, will that take it away? Excellent. Let's get into this. Facebook Live just got a whole lot funner. Okay, so today we're talking about self-expression. And this is really connecting with who we are as a person and having the courage, the confidence and the competence to express ourselves more fully in lives. Because I feel for a lot of us, and this was something that I really struggled with, and to be honest, it's still a process that I'm working through, is a lot of us hide ourselves from the world. We put up these masks, Exhibit A. Oh no! Oh no, I took it away! Oh, we're back. Exhibit A right here, the mask. We put on these masks or personas that aren't really us for various reasons, to protect ourselves from pain, to impress people, whatever it is, we often don't adhere to our true, authentic self. And this creates a disconnect within us. Because there is part of us who wants to be the real us, and there is this overriding force that keeps on trying to be something that we're not. And this creates conflict within us. And if you spend time in this conflict throughout years and years of your life, it'll make you unhappy. Because conflict does not result in happiness, fulfillment, love, anything that you're looking for in life. We can't have those things if we're in a state of conflict. So what I'm going to share today is three of the concepts that I've picked up that have helped me to express myself more fully. Because this is something that I'm not exempt from. This was actually one of my biggest struggles for most of my life. And as I said, it's something I'm still working through now. Is really living my truth and being utterly authentic and learning how to just express who I really, really am without having all the masks and personas up. Because I had so many layers on top of me before. I had so many barriers, so many shields up that no one ever got to see the real me. They only ever got to see a version of myself. And this might not have impacted other people too much, but it ultimately led to a lot of inner turmoil in myself. And this was something that I struggled with for a long time. And it was eventually something that I had to start stripping away these barriers, stripping away these shields. Hi Marta, good to see you. If you're wondering why I'm dressed like Santa today, Facebook Live has added in some new features. I was having to play around with them. Managed to get this Santa mask on, and today we're talking about identity and self-expression. And actually what I just finished describing was talking about the masks and the personas that we wear. So I thought that this would actually be strangely fitting for what we're talking about today. But good to see you. I hope you get some value from what we're going to talk about today. And I'm talking about 3 tips that I've personally used to start to express myself more fully, to connect with myself more authentically, and to give that authentic self to other people. So here we go. Tip number 1, or strategy number 1, is to do affirmations. Using something that I call value affirmations, or self-affirmations. And this is affirming parts of you that you know to be true. Thanks, Marta. I'm quite chuffed with it myself. So yeah, affirmations. These are affirming things that you know about yourself to be true. And the purpose of these affirmations is to connect, to form a connection with that part of yourself and get used to expressing it and bringing it to the forefront of your mind, bring it to the forefront of your consciousness. So the important thing here is affirming things about ourselves that we actually have, we actually are, that are actually true. Because one of my big bugbears about the self-help personal development industry is that a lot of practitioners will teach affirmations and ask you to do affirmations that aren't actually true. They'll get you to affirm things that you want in some idealistic future. And what these affirmations have ultimately proven to do is, research has found, is these types of affirmations saying things like, I am a billionaire, I am popular and famous. If you say these things over and over to yourself again, if you tell these lies to yourself over and over again, they actually reduce your self-esteem and they reduce your motivation. So we don't want that. We want to be raising your self-esteem. We want to be raising your motivation. So here's what we do. We use value affirmations. We affirm what our values are, what our passions are, what our beliefs are, the core intrinsic parts of what makes us, us. And there's a 3-step framework to create these affirmations. So it's PDP. P stands for personal. So this is affirming something about yourself that is actually true, and you use the word I to do this. You make it personal, you say I. Next we have D. This stands for declaration. Here you make a strong declaration. So you use language such as I am, I have, I will, I create, I attract, I manifest. Whatever it is, make it a powerful declaration of that particular value for yourself. And then the third P is positively charged. So here you focus on addition rather than subtraction. Now, what do I mean by this? So you would use an affirmation along the lines of, I am calm, or I am kind, rather than an affirmation such as, I will not lose my temper today, or I will not be mean to people today. Because when you create an affirmation with this slant, with a negative slant, you actually unconsciously prime that negative outcome for yourself. And that's not what we want. We want you feeling positive, we want you to be expressive. So we use these value affirmations. So what this involves is just highlighting some of what you consider to be your key core values. That might be kindness, it might be creativity, it might be compassion, it might be work ethic. Whatever it is, you take that value that you have for yourself, and what I do is every morning I'll pick 3 of my values and I'll say some affirmations along those lines. So you'd say things like, I am a hard worker, I will seek opportunities to be kind at every point during today. Affirmations along these lines just to really prime that value for yourself. You bring it to the forefront of your mind, into the conscious mind, so it's there, ready. And what you'll do is you'll go out in that day and you will express that value more freely because you've primed it for yourself. So that's the first step in self-expression, is priming the values that you actually want to embody, priming the values that you want to live in your life. And we then move on to the second step. And this is being vulnerable. This is the power of vulnerability. For those of you who've watched Brené Brown's TED Talk on the subject, you'll know what an advocate of vulnerability she is. And I have the exact same belief. I have gained so many things in my life through being vulnerable, by putting myself at risk, putting myself into situations that were uncomfortable or I had a little bit of fear over. And there's a couple ways that you can embrace vulnerability in your life. Because ultimately, when we express our full authentic self, we're being a little vulnerable. Because there's a chance that someone won't accept us. And that is one of our biggest fears for why we don't fully express ourselves. Because we're scared someone isn't going to accept who we are. Because that is like a direct blow to our soul, a direct blow to our ego. And this is a reason why a lot of us put up masks and personas in our lives. Because we're scared of not being accepted. And if our mask or persona doesn't get accepted, well, that's okay. Because it's not really us that's not being accepted. And that isn't such a damaging blow to our soul and to our ego. But if it's our full, authentic self that's being expressed, and that isn't accepted, then that feels horrible. And we don't want that in our lives. And that is one of the reasons why we put up all these barriers. So we really have to embrace that vulnerability to put ourselves into a situation where, you know what? We might not get accepted. And that's okay. Because not everyone in the world is loved and accepted by everyone. In fact, most of the people in your life actually accept you. Think about it. How many people do you have in your life who really can't stand you, you don't get on, you hate each other, you're in conflict? They might be quite prominent in your mind, but they're actually a minority. Most people accept you. And I'm not just talking about family and friends here. Strangers in the street. You walk down the street and you smile at the people that you pass. Most people will smile back. Anytime that someone opens a door for you, or they sit next to you on public transport, or they add you as a friend on Facebook, that person has accepted you. They wouldn't have done that if they didn't accept you. So we need to let go of this fear of not being accepted. Because yes, we won't be accepted by everyone all of the time. But look at it this way. Would you rather not be accepted for not being your full authentic self? Or would you rather not be accepted but be living your truth, be living with authenticity? I know I would rather live authentically and feel comfortable in myself and accept the fact that maybe some people won't like who I am. They won't be comfortable with me. They won't accept me, respect me, whatever it is. So let's look at how we embrace vulnerability. There's two methods in which to do this. Excuse me. First of all is standing by your beliefs and values. So this goes back a little bit to the first stage, which is affirming your values for yourself. The second stage is taking the opportunity to express these beliefs and values and not being afraid to express your opinion on something, not being afraid to put across your viewpoint or your perspective on things. Again, it's just taking away that fear of something not being accepted. So take the opportunity to express your beliefs, your values, your opinions whenever you can. When there's a discussion or conversation going on, don't be afraid to offer your thoughts on the subject. Even if you think they might possibly be controversial, even if you think everyone there is going to argue with you and not accept you. Now here, I'm not talking about being slanderous, I'm not talking about being derogatory, that's a different kettle of fish, but this is just offering your opinion. And as long as that opinion is within ethical and moral lines, then express it. Because not everyone will agree with you. People will argue with you. People will disagree with you. But be okay with that. Stand by what you believe and value as a person. And that's the first part of vulnerability. The second part is taking ownership. And this is taking ownership of everything that you've been through in life. Taking ownership of all of your life circumstances. And this is a little bit more along a personal development kind of line, really going into your core. And looking back over the script of your life and really just taking ownership of what's happened to you. And this is a part of being vulnerable. And this was something that's really sort of helped me shift and become more authentic. In my work, I talk a lot about the challenges that I've faced. I've talked about my mental health issues. I'm talking with you right now about feeling unauthentic for a lot of my life. I talk about losing my dad to cancer. I talk about the struggles and the challenges that I've had in trying to launch my own business. I'm vulnerable with all of those things, but I also take ownership of them. All these things that have happened to me no longer have any power over me because I've taken ownership of them. And because I've taken ownership, I now talk freely about these things. I now talk about the times when I've been in pain. I talk about the times when I felt lost, afraid, confused, scared, worthless. Whatever it is, I talk about these things. And I take ownership over what's happened to me. And through that ownership, I can be vulnerable. And through the power of vulnerability, I actually come across more fully, more authentically. And for any of you who've been to my live events, you've seen me talk or speak, even just here on video, I often start a topic by relating that to something that's happened in my personal life. I talk about one of the challenges or hardships through which I gained that particular lesson or teaching. And I feel it really helps the people I'm speaking to connect with me. Just by telling a little bit of my personal story, just by putting across a little bit of that vulnerability, there is that deeper connection and that deeper understanding. And ultimately, that helps people to form a relationship with me more easily. And I often get complimented and praised on my openness, on my vulnerability, and the way that I share these things. And you can have the exact same power in your life when you take ownership of who you are, what's happened to you, and you're willing and ready to express and share that to the world. And people will accept and respect that. I've been so surprised at the amount of people who've accepted and respected the things that I tell and my story. I spent so long not speaking to anyone, not telling anyone about the things that I was going through because I was afraid. I had that fear that we've been talking about of not being accepted. And I've actually been a little surprised and astonished by how much acceptance there's been. It's been pretty much unanimous acceptance. And that was really surprising for me, but also really encouraging. And that's helped me to realize the power that vulnerability has. So that would be the second step that I would advise you to do for self-expression is be more vulnerable. Let the world see more of who you actually are. Now we come on to our third and final tip, and this is be creative. What are you creating in your life? One of our most powerful forms of expression is creativity. Because if you look back and think back to our youngest years, we were creating things before we could walk, before we could talk, before we could write. Whether that was playing with our food as a baby, scribbling in things with crayons, even the dreams that we had. We were being creative. We were expressing ourselves creatively. Is that even a word? Creatively. We were expressing ourselves creatively before we were expressing ourselves linguistically. So, does that not perhaps point to our purest form of expression? That our purest form of expression is actually what we create? And this is a big lesson that I've learned in my life. And what I've realized is that our lives are defined by what we create. The legacy that we will leave in this world after we're gone, it won't be what we said or what we did or what we thought. It is those things, but ultimately it's how those things led to what we created. What did we leave in the world? And that is the power of our lives. That is the most powerful thing that we've got, is what we create. So what opportunities are you taking to express yourself creatively? What passions, beliefs, values do you have in you that you can put out into the world and make something of? So what I'm doing right now, for example, is I'm speaking. I'm speaking about the things that I've learned, the insights that I've had, the perspective that I've got. I'm using these things and I'm creatively expressing them through the medium of speaking, through the medium of filming videos, through the medium of doing talks, workshops. I also write. So I write blogs. I've just written my book that's coming out in a month or so. This is me expressing myself creatively, putting myself out there and putting my full authentic self out there through these mediums. So what can you do to create something? What is your creative passion? Are you an artist? Are you a musician? Are you a designer? Are you a storyteller? Whatever it is, are you devoting enough time to creative pursuits in your life? Because as life happens to us, as we have work and relationships and health and all these other commitments, important commitments, but we often miss out the time for ourselves, the time for our own personal self-expression and self-empowerment. So are you taking enough time to creatively express yourself, to put yourself forth into mediums, to share what you have and what you know with the world? And the more you do this, the more you start to rise to a higher level of self-expression, where it's full, authentic expression, and that full, authentic expression is then leaving an impact and a mark upon the world. And I'm not necessarily talking about a Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela leaving a mark on the world. I'm not talking about necessarily changing countries or societies or communities, but maybe you can impact the lives of your closest friend, your partner, your family, maybe a small group or organization you're involved with. You can change the world of their small worlds. You don't have to change the big globe world. So how can you express yourself more creatively? Because all of us have a channel for creative expression within ourselves. And you might think that the thought of sitting in front of a camera and speaking is absolutely terrifying and that's just not you. And that's fine. This is just my personal form of creative expression. There are loads of different ways to creatively express yourself. Ways that are more aligned with who you are, what you value as a person, and what message that you have to share. That's another important thing. Do you have a message to share through visual? Do you have a message to share through audio? Do you have a message to share through the creation of something tangible and solid? So whatever it is, seek the opportunity to express yourself more creatively. And that, folks, is my 3 tips for stronger self-expression. So just to recap for the people who've been coming in and out, we had affirmations, learning to affirm your values as a person more strongly. We had vulnerability, having the willingness and the acceptance that not everyone is going to accept us, to feel that fear, but to pass through that fear and be open and vulnerable with others. And then just there we're covering creative expression, expressing yourself more creatively. Did any of those 3 really stand out for you as something that you feel that you could do more to enable better self-expression, to get yourself out there more into the world? Whatever it is, stick a comment in the comments below. If you'd like me to elaborate more on those things, that was a very brief overview of each of them. I can elaborate a little bit more on the practices and the strategy of how to go deeper into those things if you think something would be of particular value to you. But otherwise, guys, I'd just like to say thank you for joining me today, for listening. I just want to do a nice quick one today, just do a quick fire run through a concept. I hope that you've had some value from it. If you enjoy this video, then be sure to give it a little like and share it with anyone who you feel would particularly benefit from this, who you feel maybe just needs to get out of their shell a little bit more, strip down those barriers and really live